I've found out that most troubles or quarrels people have is not with their partner, is with their feelings. All right? Most of the trouble or quarrel you have is not actually with your partner, is with your feelings. How are you processing your feelings? I don't measure how strong a couple is by when everything is peaceful. I measure it by when they are frustrated. How do you deal with the anger, the frustration, disappointment? That is the real measure of how strong your marriage is. When you are disappointed, when you are frustrated, when things did not go your way, how are you reacting? That is how we know whether that marriage is strong or not. Not when there's peace. Everybody's happy when there's peace. Everybody's happy when everything is going as planned. We are talking about when things don't go as planned, when you are disappointed, when you are frustrated. How are you managing your emotions? Most quarrels in homes are not between the spouses. They're just between one person and their emotion. So if you are going to build intimacy, you must learn to manage your emotion. You must learn to manage how you feel and how you react to the situation. When your partner disappoints you or doesn't come up or doesn't show up, how do you even bring it to his notice? Some people at that time, they want to wash the person down. Let me give you something as a general rule. Whenever somebody is behaving out of character, don't react the first way that comes to you. Your first instinct is to give fire for fire. That's your first instinct. And fire for fire will burn the house down. Your first instinct, like the Bible says in 1 Peter, is to do railing for railing, shouting for shouting. That's your first instinct, and that is wrong. Managing your emotions the crucial way. Like I told you, the quarrel in the house is not between you and your partner. It's between you and your emotions. That time you are frustrated, how do you even go approach bringing it up? Many people, the way you bring it up, there's no way peace will reign. It will lead to war because of how you bring it up. Master the art of putting your emotions under. Don't react emotionally. There are a few tips to managing your emotions. I can't go into all. I'll mention a few tips. Number one, always practice the pause. Just pause. Don't respond immediately. If you respond immediately, 90% of the time you will respond wrongly. Every time you want to respond immediately, depending on something, you want to just shout at them, you want to wash them down, you want to insult them back, you want to, rebuke them. Just pause. Women in particular, I try to coach women in communicating with men, because women are the ones that complain that my husband is not talking or not communicating. Women love communication, but most times they don't know how to communicate with a man. I have a YouTube video why your man is not talking to you. I coach women in that video that men hate talking to women because women first feel, they process from feeling, and men process from logic. So they don't know what you're talking about. Why are you feeling? They just do this thing, they just want to solve problems and move on. So I tell them, look, the man you're dealing with is not great at communication like you. So you must know how to react to him. For instance, if your husband tells you anything, your first reaction is to be calm. Most times a man is scared to tell you because he thinks you will not be able to handle it. And you too, you prove him right. The more he tells you, say, hey, you just shout, you say, you see. So I tell women, if your husband even tells you, I killed 3 people yesterday, just say, okay. Who else knows? Hope nobody saw you. Be calm. Be calm. Then ask him, where did you bury them? If you are that calm, he will take you to where you buried them. When you get there, you find out it's 5 people he killed, not 3. Most times the man is managing you. He's afraid of what you will do, so he will tell you small and see what you will do. Most times you prove him right, that there's no way he can communicate with you. So be calm. All right? Now, I tell women, the more important the discussion, the less emotional you need to be. The more important the topic you want to talk to a man about, that's the less emotional you need to be. Most times women bring their whole emotional capacity to talk to a man. He is blocking a man can't handle the emotions. That your capacity for emotion is not, his own is very small. Very, very small. So he can't cope with what you're about to bring. He can't handle it. That's why they did experiment with men and women having heated arguments. They put machines on their body. They found out that the man's heart rate and blood pressure, everything during the heated argument is very high, 99. He literally wants to explode. That's why when there's a serious argument between a man and woman, a man usually wants to leave the place. He can't cope. He's about to explode. A woman's own. They checked it. When the serious argument, it was the same before, during, and after. So whenever there's a heated argument, when the man says, I want to go, what does the woman say? You're not going. Because she's having fun. She's enjoying this. So we're not fighting. We're just talking. The man can't cope. He can't handle it. He wants to run. The man's solution to heated argument is escape, flight. Because the only other option, if he doesn't take flight, is to fight. And he's a lethal weapon. He's a lethal weapon. A man his fight for him is a do or die issue. Oh, I love when women fight. Women fight is not final. Women can fight here, argue, and for them, they just express themselves. If a man wants to fight, he believes it's a do or die. It's a final, we're going to finalize the issue. So he usually wants to run. He can't cope with the stress. That's why my mentor, one of the guys that coached me in relationship coaching, is one biggest mentor, well respected, has many bestsellers. They've been bestsellers for many years. He's well respected. Most of you know him. Even Harvard respects his materials and everything. Most of you know him. He's a professor emeritus. It's professor emeritus. Very respected person. Professor Solomon David in the Bible. You don't know? You don't know him? He's a professor now. He has done research that even Harvard has not done. He researched having 1,000 women in his life at the same time. Harvard has not done that. And he still died of natural causes. As in, they didn't kill him. And he had those women without digital age. He was dating them, marrying them manually. 700 wives. How do you remember their name? So, Solomon, after having 700 wives, 300 concubines, 1,000 women, he said, if you marry a contentious woman, a man will go and live in the corner of the roof. Why is that happening? He can't cope. See, if you marry a contentious woman, you go and live in the wilderness. Because a man's brain can't handle. See, our brain is one track. Women need to understand this. Our brain is one. So you can't scatter it. Your own brain is like operating like a machine. It has many portals open at the same time. It's like a smartphone. Many portals are open. So if I argue with a woman, at the end of the day, they don't even know which one we're arguing about. Which one was it? Because she's going here, she's going here, she's going to the past, going to the future. The man can't cope. He will just go to the wilderness and go and sit down and sleep. So when you're talking to him, the less emotional you are, the better. Because if you are intense emotionally, he will block off both the emotion and the information. Because he has to block everything. What you need him to get is the information. So try to pause. All right? Process your emotions first before you have that conversation. Have it at the least emotional time. Maybe when you're even doing something, just mention it that, hey, I wish you came home earlier yesterday, oh boy, it's okay. It's fine. Let's watch the match. Who's winning? Just like that. It will sink better with a man than trying to engage him in a heated argument. He will blank that whole scenario, both the emotion and the information. So practice the pause. Very important. Always pause. Check even whenever you've replied to somebody's message or replied to somebody. If you reply immediately, later you begin to feel, I could have coined this thing better. It always occurs to you, I could have said it differently, because you reacted and responded too quickly. You never go wrong by pausing. Always pause. You don't have to answer today. You don't have to give a response right now. All right? Pause helps you. Another thing that helps you to manage your emotions is perspective. Always understanding people's perspective will help you answer them better. Don't try to answer them without perspective. A lot of times your first reaction will be wrong.